Hey guys, welcome back to moveSKILL.com. Today we're going to talk about sit-ups. We're going to talk about how to use sit-ups as part of our strength progression, and then eventually how to incorporate them into our workouts and use them at kind of a more rapid succession, something to get some more metabolic conditioning out of them. So the first thing I'm going to have us kind of look at is what's going on here with Jim's midline and his low back. So right now I can slide my hand underneath his low back. He's laying here pretty neutral. So what we want to practice first before we actually go to any sit-ups is bracing through here. So what I'm going to have him do is really squeeze his abdominal wall, and what that does is that's going to shorten this, and now I can't slide my hand under here. And you can try this out yourself. So again, relax and squeeze. And if you want, you can take your own finger and just kind of jam it into the side of your belly here and push it out. What I want to really show here is that we're not doing a crunch. Can you do a crunch for me? So he's going to grab on, first of all, the back of your head makes a really lousy handle. He's going really far into flexion. This, you go ahead and relax. This makes us uncomfortable for a few reasons, especially if you've had any issues with your back. You're really putting some pressure on your discs in your back, especially your low back here. Grabbing on, like I said, grabbing onto the head, that's a real problem for our cervical spine, especially if we're doing this at a high volume. So keep your hands away from the head. All right, so moving to a sit-up. I don't mind where your feet are. So you can have your legs straight, you can bend them up a little bit, you can do a butterfly position, so feet together. This doesn't bother me. What we want to make sure of is that in the beginning, I don't want you to anchor your feet. So don't stick them under your couch, don't put them underneath dumbbells. Learn to use your body to pull yourself up and not another piece of weight. So first thing that Jim's going to do is set his back, same way we just worked on, and now he's going to reach forward and sit up nice and tall. And notice how his back is nice and neutral, and then lower himself down under control. Let's go ahead and do another one. To the top, one more. So what we're looking for is control on the way down as well. Don't ignore the eccentric part of the motion. So he's coming down. That last bit, you want to do one where you kind of fail for me? So if you're coming down and you just plop, then you're missing a really valuable part of the movement. If you're doing sit-ups and either you get fatigued and this doesn't work, or you're even having trouble doing this, we can pull a little tool that we like to use here, the ab mat, stick it right behind his back and start from the bottom. This is going to give us a little bit of a mechanical advantage. So go ahead, brace the same way and reach. And these are substantially easier. Nice control, especially for that bottom part. This is where that ab mat's going to help you out. Awesome. Good. If you find that you can't even do a single sit-up, what we're going to do instead is start from the top and do a negative. Nice and controlled all the way down to the bottom. From here, you can get up however you want. So you can roll to your side. Let's try that. Roll to your side, sit-ups from the top. Let's go for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Hard work, huh? Again. From the top. Likewise, if we're doing this, and specifically for a strength piece, Jim can start to pull himself up by using just kind of his fingertips and crawling up the side of his legs, as long as he's taken his time to come down under control, even if he drops a little bit at the bottom. And the same thing here, if he starts to fail at the bottom, I can stick that ab mat underneath again, and he can use this to help control himself on the way down and get a little bit further on the way up. So we're actually okay with using fingers for the strength piece as long as you're using that negative well. One thing that we really want to avoid when we're doing sit-ups is using our leg to kind of kick ourselves up. The reason is what's happening here is Jim is bringing his leg forward, he's tightening his psoas, his hip flexor, which is attached to the inside the back of his spine, his low back, and he kicks forward and it's going to yank on the back. That's what's getting him up when he does this. Don't do this, especially if you have low back problems. This is a really nasty thing to start to do. So like we said, use your fingers, do the negative. You can even have a partner kind of help pull you up with a band or a strap, but using that leg to kick is something you really want to avoid. So Jim is strong enough to really string together quite a few of these sit-ups, And he's going to do this, you'll see his arms reaching overhead and touching the ground, and he's going to touch between his feet. It may look like he's swinging his arms, but he's not. This is just to kind of show us that he's got full movement. So he touches and swings up. So he's touching and reaching, as opposed to using his arms to fling himself up, right? Yeah, so you can see he's really throwing and using that momentum. This is what we want to avoid. Go ahead. Use your arms to help, but not to kick you up. There you go. So reach back, touch the ground or the ab mat, and then reach forward, touch. Same thing here. This is where the ab mat comes in handy, especially when we start to do high volume. Go ahead. Good. And notice how this movement looks good the entire time. He's not getting too sloppy. What tends to happen when we get tired is at the top we start to kind of fold over, and get here and have our head looking between our legs. And this is that same issue of over flexing the spine. So at the top, just make sure your chest is nice and open. I should be able to stand in front of him and see the logo that's on his shirt the entire time he's doing these sit-ups. Go ahead and practice these. Like everything else that we coach, start easy, work within your kind of capabilities, test yourself every once in a while. If you are able to do a few sit-ups without the ab mat, but then you have to go to the ab mat, great, that's a good start. Hope this helps you out. Have a good one, guys.